It's so funny that I actually like tried to record this a million times, and it's about surrender and flow. So, what does surrender even mean? To go with the flow. To me, this has always felt super nebulous. Like when somebody tells you, just surrender, like, okay, what does that mean? It sort of feels like passive, like you're giving up on something. So, what does surrender actually look like? Like, waves in Japanese tattooing is a fun little metaphor for how surrender and flow work. And drawing water looks super simple, right? In theory, kind of like surrender, like the term surrender. But it was always the most notoriously difficult to learn. And you'd first have to like understand flow and, understand the body, and then construct the waves in an effortless way so it didn't feel stiff or awkward. You'd almost have to try hard to not try hard, if that makes sense. And if you're looking at someone else's waves to practice, let's say, the fluidity usually just doesn't translate. And it's my theory that you're copying somebody else's flow and not going with your own. So it can take many years of practice before this actually becomes second nature, where you don't fight the flow of the waves anymore and you just let them take shape as they need to or how they fit on the body. And you can actually feel the difference in your own body when you're drawing waves that are stiff versus how they feel when it's effortless and flowing. So then when you actually stop trying or forcing, that's the moment of surrender that opens kind of the gates and allows you to ride the waves of flow. A few years back, I got to understand this surrender thing a lot more directly. And there was a lot going on in my life. I was juggling a ton of things in my personal life. And on top of that, I had opened a shop and my hands were hurting as soon as I opened the shop. It's crazy. I couldn't do much work. I pretty much had to cancel a lot of clients. And, things weren't flowing quite the way I had thought. And so in this particular moment, I had some big bills that were coming up and not a lot of money was coming in. So the day I finally decided to do a tattoo, or finally could do a tattoo, I guess, not decided, I got to the shop and the heat was out and all the freaking windows were frosted over. I had to call a service guy to come in and I had to cancel my client again. So I laid in the middle of the shop literally crying so hard I could hardly breathe. It just felt like damned if you do, damned if you don't, I don't know. I was exhausted from the whole thing, from setting up the shop, from my hands, from my life. And now I was scared to lose my shop. And then out of nowhere, I finally was like, F this. F it. I don't care. I don't care what happens. It doesn't matter anymore. None of this matters. I just had to stop caring. I was done. And by some crazy miracle, like 3 days later when I was working on my client, my hands started feeling better. It was weird. And I ended up making back exactly what I needed to a T in like a couple days because I was able to keep working. It was awesome. It's just bizarre how that worked out. And my hands actually completely healed once I stopped tattooing. So I share this story kind of as an embodied example of surrender. I realized that the act of not caring, even though I did very deeply, something else happened. I released the attachment to the shop, to my frustration, to the situation, the experience, to my feelings about the experience. And all of that trying I was doing was actually just creating resistance, which then was creating my pain, whether it be emotional or physical. So I became the observer of my experience because I wasn't attached to the outcome. And in that moment, I unknowingly surrendered. Granted, I didn't have a choice, I guess, in that point. But that's how it works sometimes when you're learning things. You get kind of pushed up against the wall and then you go, okay, I'm done. And I know I'm not the only one here. We've all been through something similar to some degree or another. You know, as an example, let's say like the typical bad day. You know, you get up late, you get into your car, traffic is terrible, and then you need gas, and now you got to stop even though you're late. You know, and of course you spill coffee on yourself. Let's add that one in there, of course, right? And then if you let it, it just keeps spiraling, and it can ruin the whole day. That right there is resistance. It's like this pile up of emotions. Every thought, every frustration, every bit of anger, every curse word like mumbled under your breath becomes another obstruction, blocking the flow, causing more and more resistance, which in turn then creates more and more pain. Physical, mental, emotional, all three, you know, and I'm sure you can relate. So, in my experience, the second that you notice those less than desirable emotions, that alone can help you shift things. Those are just the signs of the resistance, you know? And underneath that, though, there's always a story attached to it. What if I'm late? I'll get fired. I can't be late or I won't be able to pay my bills. Or if I lose my job, I'll be homeless. I've noticed just simply becoming aware of those stories leads to the ability to be able to rewrite them. Like our bad day example. We can't control the traffic, you know, but we can control how we perceive it. And this allows for surrender. And that opens the gate and allows the flow to take you. It's like, I love that quote by Bruce Lee when he said, be like water, right? It's so simple, yet it's so difficult, like drawing waves. So let me know in the comments, have you ever had a moment where you allowed yourself to surrender to an experience that was really, really challenging for you? And when you stopped fighting it, what happened? Also, thank you so much if you made it this far. Thank you for being here. Till next time.